Chuck was sitting opposite Uche in his office. Are we still going to see Stanley? Because I'm waiting for Helen's call. Where is my brother and what have you done with him? Uche chuckled. If you ask me, I would suggest we let him come around. Sorry, bro, but I have to get my wife off my back. We are going to Stanley and we are going to make peace. Besides, I already told him we are coming. Chuck nodded as his phone rang. It's Helen's bodyguard. Sorry, bro, but the peacekeeping is hereby moved. He answered the call and listened for a few minutes. What? He got up from the chair. What happened? Uche asked, coming closer. Don't move, I'll be right there. Helen has been taken by 2 armed men at a hospital, Chuck said, heading towards the door. Uche followed him immediately. Chuck arrived at the doctor's office. The woman was sitting quietly but trembling. Chuck entered, followed by Uche. This is the accomplice? Chuck asked. They had her family at gunpoint, but they are free now. Why was she here? She came for her MRI test. The doctor stammered. MRI test? Chuck repeated. Yomi and the police are on their way, one of the bodyguards said. What do you remember? Uche asked. They wanted a flash drive, and she told them it's in her house. I believe that's where they are headed. Her house? Chuck said and turned to leave. Chuck would wait for the police, by which time they might kill her. If they wanted her dead, they would have killed her here. And what do you think they would do to her once she gives it to them? Jay heaved a sigh and followed, gesturing for the bodyguards to follow them. One more thing, the doctor said. They all turned around to look at her. I think she has remembered. As soon as she saw his face, she got her memories back. Thank you, Uche murmured and followed the others. Chuck and Uche arrived at Helen's house. Already, Yomi and a few policemen were there. No one has been here since she left to your house, Yomi said to them as soon as they arrived. They watched as people began to gather. If you don't want another PR nightmare, I suggest you go home and let us handle this. I can't just go home and do nothing, Chuck said through gritted teeth. You can't follow us around. Believe me, you would only slow us down. Let me do my job, and hopefully she'll be back with you before nightfall. Is that a promise? Stanley asked behind them. They all turned to look at him. How did you? Uche called me, he answered. And just like that, all was forgiven. I will do my best. I will do all that is in my power, Yomi answered. I believe it's the best we can do right now, Uche said. Helen and her kidnappers arrived at her old house, a mini flat in a middle-class neighborhood. Her neighborhood had changed. There were new buildings and houses that weren't there before. She wondered if anyone would recognize her or if the landlord kept the house for her after 3 years of not paying rent or hearing from her. She wondered what she was going to do because the flash drive wasn't in her house. She would rather die than take them to where it was. Her plan was to stall for time and hope she could escape. I don't have the keys. I haven't been here in 3 years. There might be new occupants, she said as they led her into her compound. Then I suggest you pray with all your heart that the opposite is the case if you want to leave. Kat! The woman screamed. Kat, it is you, my goodness! Thank heavens, you are alive! We wondered what happened to you. The woman came and embraced her. Helen returned her embrace. Is my apartment still mine? I am sorry, Kat, but we have to put new tenants. But all your properties are intact. They are in my husband's shed at the back. Thank you. Is your husband around? No, but you can go and check on your stuff. I am glad you are okay. These are my friends. They will help me with the heavy lifting. What happened to you, Kat? How did you just disappear? I am back now and will have time to gist as soon as I settle down, she replied, going to the shed. Helen stood and watched the mess the shed was in. It was not organized. Her sewing machines, her television, bed and couches, and every other thing were in a tangled mess, and she smiled with gratitude. This was the delay she needed. How am I going to find something as tiny as a flash drive in here? If you are playing us, I promise you, you wouldn't live to tell the tale. Get to work. She heaved a sigh and entered the shed, prepared to waste as much time as she could. Chuck paced the whole living room. He couldn't stop his imagination from conjuring horrible pictures of Helen being tortured. He let out a frustrated gasp. What did she get herself tangled up in? Who was after her? How could one insignificant girl draw the attention of men powerful and ruthless enough to pull off a kidnapping inside a hospital of that magnitude? Did he really know her? He thought. Had he been so blinded by his feelings for her that he never questioned anything she said? She had lied to him without the slightest twitch when he asked of her plans for the day. She knew she was going to the hospital and didn't mention it. An MRI test was not something you just walk into a hospital and have it done. She must have scheduled it and hid it from him. He heaved another sigh. This wasn't the time. All that mattered was getting her back safe. He glanced at his wristwatch and willed his phone to ring. He needed some kind of update. She's strong. She will survive this. You will see, Stanley said. The way I see it, if she doesn't give them the USB, they will kill her. And if she gives it to them, they will still kill her. I can't get the picture of her mangled body out of my mind, he said with frustration and sat down. I can't just stay here and do nothing. Worrying and conjuring horrific images in your mind won't help either. And what in the blazes would help? Chuck gave in to his frustration. Let's concentrate on the facts we have. We don't know anything about her before she lost her memories, but we know who she is now. Maybe, just maybe, there is something in what we know about her now that would give us a clue on how to rescue her. You are right. Maybe we can go back to her house. There is nothing there. The house is empty, just a bed and electronics. She said she did not want to put down roots, not knowing where she was coming from. Suddenly he got up. Wait, there is something from her past. Chuck raced upstairs, praying as he ran upstairs that she didn't take the purse along with her. He upturned everything till he found it. He opened it, but it was empty. He heaved a frustrated sigh but managed to calm himself. Chuck rejoined his brother and friend holding the purse. It's empty, he announced, coming to sit down with disappointment. Uche took the purse from him and examined it. She had this with her when she woke up on the street, half beaten to death. Chuck nodded. Get me a scissors, Uche said, and moments later May brought them one. They cut out the cotton lining of the purse and found it empty. Maybe whatever secret it held had long been stolen, Stanley said. Chuck took the purse from him. Maybe not. He got a tiny screwdriver from May and unscrewed the large silver clasp of the purse, and suddenly something fell out. He bent down and retrieved a USB drive from the floor. What secret does this hold? He asked as May brought his laptop as directed by Uche. Chuck inserted the drive and waited for it to load. They watched as the video of a hotel room came on. A man walked into the room and began removing his clothing. He turned to the camera. They gasped with recognition. Isn't that Chief Abayomi? Yes, but his younger self, like 10 years younger. The governorship aspirant your father will be endorsing today? Chief Abayomi sat down on the bed and removed his wristwatch. Suddenly he looked at the door and said something. The door opened and a young girl of about 13 came in bearing a tray of drinks. The girl dropped the tray and turned to leave. "Helen?" Chuck muttered in shock. Chief Aboyemi caught her hands as she was about to leave and tried to drag her to the bed. But the girl resisted and managed to escape him, running to the door. But Chief caught her before she could get to the door and dragged her back to the bed. What followed was the most horrific scene anyone could witness. Helen's feeble struggles and attempts to escape could not match the strength of a man 3 times her size. It was way too easy for Chief Abayomi. Chuck continued staring at the screen even after the video had ended. He could not believe it. He could not comprehend it. He looked at his brother, then at his friend, and from the shocked expressions on their faces, he knew it was real. And then it came, the rage, the fury to murder Chief Abayomi.
In the still of the night, I think of you. My heart beats with every thought of you. You're the one I can't let go. In your arms I find my home. Love, sweet love, it's you I'm dreaming